Hey, somebody needs to sharpen the saw. You have? Excellent. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. You are listening to The Professional Noticer. Hello, everyone. I'm Andy Andrews. Thank you for making me a part of your week. My purpose here today and with every show we do is to play the part of a best friend or a coach. I want to help you live the life of your wildest dreams by giving you access to the greatest mentors the world has to offer today. This week, The Professional Noticer is sponsored by WisdomHarbor.com, the streaming service whose goal it is to create the next greatest generation. For less than $3 a month, you'll have access to original content on the streaming service. It's found only on WisdomHarbor.com, and it builds effective and influential relationships between adults and young people. Dave Ramsey says it's also good for your business and your teams. Utilizing video, audio, and the written word, content is delivered in small bites by Grammy winners, CEOs, comedians, master chefs, best-selling authors, and Hall of Fame speakers. There are even guitar lessons from an award-winning songwriter. Join WisdomHarbor.com right now and become a part of the quest to create another greatest generation, starting with your family in your hometown. That's WisdomHarbor.com. Observations and answers. That's what we do here on The Professional Noticer. And as you know, we love it when somebody comes to the table with both. And we've got somebody today that has observations and answers and stuff to show us. Oh my gosh. This is one of my favorite people. And he is the owner and operator of Silverhill Mill. He's married to a beautiful lady named Rhee. And we like Rhee better than we like Bryan. But in any case, please welcome Bryan Chandler.
Hello.
Hey, buddy. I am so glad you're here today.
I'm glad to be back with you.
Man, well, you know, we spent part of last Saturday together, and it was just like, hey, man, you got so much going on. You need to come. Because this is the second time you have visited.
It was, May of 22 I went back.
Right. Yeah. We've got, let's see, Dave Ramsey's been on twice. Brad Thor has been on twice, Jack Carr, and Bryan Chandler.
Wow.
So you're in good company, or they're in good company. But now, just to give everybody a little background, Bryan, when I met you, you were the senior vice president of a big bank, and you had started making charcuterie boards in your spare time. And you had a little mill that you operated, and that's when you named it Silverhill Mill. Mm-hmm. And the way I found out about you is, I think it was Gene Brett that had told me he was at, it was Hoss Mack, the sheriff. Our legendary sheriff, Hoss Mack, who had said he had been somewhere and saw these charcuterie boards, and there were about 12 of them, and he couldn't decide which one to get, so he bought them all. and I'm like, really? And what is it? He said, oh, he's just there in Silverhill, you know, and it's just kind of part-time, just fun thing for him. Well, I tracked you down, and you know how sometimes you meet somebody and within 2 minutes, it's like you've known each other for your entire life? That's how Bryan and I have been. We told Matt a little while ago, we said, hey, you're going to have to stop us from talking to get this podcast started, because if you are waiting for Bryan and me to quit talking, we're not going to run out of things to say to each other. And so this has been such a successful thing that you're a young guy and you have retired from the bank.
A lot has changed since we were here 3 years ago. Probably, let's see, that was May. So in December, I retired at 58. When your hobby's doing better than your full-time job, I love the people there, but it was time to do something that I love to do. And I wish I'd done it 30 years sooner.
Now, this is a show about detail. It's about love, passion for your work, and entrepreneurship. Because this guy is he and his wife are getting it. And so I want to go through some of the progress that you made, and then we'll show. So, because now you have like this big kind of portable sawmill, but it's a big one.
Yeah, when I was here last time, we had it on order. So when we did that work with you on some of the milling, we had our older one manual. So since then, we got the full hydraulic mill. We found out a year and a half, I just couldn't roll logs with a cant hook that weighed 2,000 or 3,000 pounds and going to survive. So we did that.
I remember now the reason that I went to you first was that Austin and Adam and I had found a burl in a cherry tree that was dead. The tree was dead, and it was on hunting land, and this burl was like, several thousand pounds. It was massive.
Yeah.
And I remember cutting that tree, and when that burl hit the ground, it sounded like a bomb. And so we had set it in a horse barn to dry, and it has stayed there for 3 years. And the problem was it was too big for anybody to mill. This thing was huge. And so when I approached you, you said, well, I have a mill on order that will handle it.
Yeah. And it was so odd shaped. We were probably doing it very unorthodox that day, strapping it down. But once we got it going, and later on here, I'll show you some of that wood that we milled off of there.
The thing, and just I have to remember, not everybody's going to know what a burl is. Explain what a burl in a tree is.
A tree will get a fungus growing on it, and it starts to protect itself, and it starts layering around this fungus. And before you know it, that ball, it's almost like a ball. So the tree's going straight up, it's a ball, just keeps growing like a balloon. You keep blowing the balloon, just keeps growing and growing. And that's that burl, is being caused there. So
people have seen these, they just don't know what they're looking at. But now you're going to see them driving through neighborhoods and stuff. You're going to see them, and now you'll know what that is. But the amazing thing about a burl is it's like some of the most expensive wood that you can get. I know that
you told me about the black walnut forest in Missouri that has because you use the burls as a fungus so it can float. So if you find one, you may find another. And you told me they had to put a 24-hour security on.
24-hour security guard on 10 acres of black walnut because it had burls all through it. And Rolls-Royce and Lear Corporation that makes the jets pay premium dollars for burled walnut because they decorate the insides of the car and the jet with it. And what happens when that fungus is in there and that tree is wrapping around it, you know how you see regular grain, the grain of wood is going forward. Well, in a burl, it's going around and around and around. And when that is sliced, it's unbelievable. It's just gorgeous. And the curious thing about a burl that I have found out, Bryan, is that science has not figured out how to inject that fungus in a tree and make it happen.
Oh, wow.
A burl is one of those kind of things that only God knows how to do it. And so that's why, but people would come in and steal those things because they're
worth $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 for one burl.
Right. Yeah. And so it's just, 24-hour security on a 10-acre plot of black walnut. But you got the thing to be able to cut big stuff.
We did. We upgraded that. And then another piece of equipment we purchased was a kiln. So for me to produce as much, from that year I was with you, our business is tenfold right now. and to keep up with that demand, we had to dry our wood quicker because basically if you air dry 6 months for every inch of thickness. So you could be looking a year to 2 years drying out some of your wood if you air dry. We have a kiln now. We can do it in 3 to 4 weeks. And that's really made a big difference is kiln dry our wood.
That's the thing you have that's like built out of a container, right? And so you just slow heat and evaporate the moisture?
It's a heat pump, just like your house. You ever watch in your house on your outside unit in the summertime, all the water's just pouring out of the drain? It's the same concept because the heat pump is working. I have a drain coming out, and when I first put a load of wood, I may be pulling 2 gallons of water out per day. I mean, it's amazing how much water, we talked about that before. Content of a fresh cut tree is maybe 40-50% water content and air.
Yeah, I remember when you showed me that beautiful flame thing the other day, and you said, "Look, that's already out of the kiln. Feel how light it is."
Yeah,
and you'd feel a lumber that hasn't been dried and lumber that has.
I got that over there.
And it's pretty neat. So you now first how. Let's show a couple of the products, and then I want to get into how you get the wood. I
travel a lot.
I got to tell you, if I had another life to live, I might be Bryan. Okay, because I'm so fascinated by wood. I love going out to his place and just messing around.
Our friendship is it'll be early in the morning or afternoon on any day of the month, and I'll send Andy a picture of, look what I milled out today. And I said, guess what it is?
Guess what it is?
And then he'll, sometimes he'll get it, and sometimes I have to help him out, but I'm always sending you information.
Watching it, but I told Polly when I got home the other night after we had done that one unbelievable piece, I told her, I said, when you look at the log, it just looks like ugly, just a log, But it's like unwrapping a Christmas present, and you don't know what's in it.
That flaming box elder is just, and we talked about it last time, and it was funny. About 3 or 4 months ago, I found one log, and then I found another, and then before I know it, I was bringing a whole trailer. It was like it just. I just walked into a big source of it.
And so this box elder, let's just go ahead and talk about this box elder right now, because in a second, Matt will put a picture up of it, but we got to talk about it first. Box elder, you just don't know what's in it. Nobody knew what was in it until they cut it, and it's not in all of them. Mm-hmm. But the incredibly expensive pieces are called box elder with flame. Mm-hmm. Now, Matt, put that picture up there, and this is what we milled Saturday. We shaved this board off of this log, and this created, I don't know, 12, 14 boards of this. That is just unbelievable. That's the most beautiful wood I've ever seen in my life.
And you can actually say that you, Andy, milled it because you are the only other person that has ever operated my sawmill in the last 2 years. So I put him back there on the controls, and I said, you can't hurt anything. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how to maintain it. I don't know how to crank it. I don't know how to, adjust
You did good.
But I did those things pretty good. Yeah.
But it was a pretty slab.
Unbelievable. So show me some of the stuff you're doing.
I've got some of that, but we'll start. So this is something that we've picked up a lot here lately. It's a maple, and this is ambrosia maple. And you'll see some of the streaks in the board. And what happens, there's an ambrosia beetle that bores through the tree and that secretes some type of substance that causes that streaking on the board. And this is another one of those that if you're just looking at the tree or the log, you may not, you won't be able to tell if this is what's going to happen, because usually maple's just solid white with a little heart in the middle. But it just changes the whole, and it's not scarce, but it's hard to find. And I have worked a relationship with a guy that he just came into a load of it, and I've been milling that.
And of course, you are making something valuable and beautiful out of something that has been destroyed.
Yeah.
I mean, the beetles got in that maple grove, and they destroyed it, and then the beetles left, and what was left people have been throwing it away for years. I mean, this is what you see out by the side of the road after a hurricane.
You will not believe this, but I have worked with this gentleman for 3 years. He has a 19-inch firmer chipper, and he was chipping everything up to 19 inches in diameter. And I finally convinced him it was worth his while to work with me and save this, because 5 years ago, this would have been chipped up into just chunks. So,
and that's what a beautiful charcuterie board.
It's even the back. Just
and it has your Silverhill.
Yeah, we did a logo. So one thing I told you, I had a gentleman burning those for me, and I went and bought my own, just like his, the same system. And so we customize a lot of our boards too.
Right.
So we do a lot of business with realtors, closing gifts, things of that nature.
That's
the ambrosia maple. This is you kind of can see it, and it's not the best one, but this is sycamore.
We'll show a close up of this,
and it just has a very interesting. My wife calls it her snakeskin boards, because especially if you get some that are quarter sawn, where quarter sawn means the grain is perfectly vertical,
right?
And you get a lot more design.
It looks like lace.
Yeah, it's different. But look at a little bit of bluing, and just that center heart there is just. And that's a sycamore tree. And people don't really do much with sycamore trees.
Right.
Other than you got the big balls that are, in the yard.
We'll get a close-up of that.
Yeah, that's
gorgeous.
Since last time I've gotten a lot more diverse of trees, species.
Right.
People like that. Like we said earlier, no two of my boards are the same. They're all one of a kind. Here's one that.
Yeah, when you get this, you're getting one of one.
Yes.
I mean, you're not just getting a charcuterie board that you can use. You're getting a piece of art that you can, if you haven't got cheese and meat on it, you can display it.
Yeah, home decor, that's our selling thing now. So this one here is a junk tree, but...
Hold it flat to the camera.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
There you go.
Yeah, so this is the one I had you to kind of smell earlier, camphor.
Yeah, I mean, you said, what is that? And I smell it, and smells kind of like lightly of medicine, but it's
Camphophony. When I milled it the first time, and the whole place stunk like camphophony.
I bet your eyes were running.
But it's just such a pretty board. I googled it. You can use it as a charcuterie board. You won't have any germs growing on it because the camphophony is antibacterial, so it's going to take care of that real quick. So yeah, that's beautiful. I'm sorry about that, but that's a beautiful board there. This one here is, I love this one right here. This one just has so much character. And that's what I think has my niche. Most people that make stuff like this are more glue ups. There are some that do live edge, but they don't have their own sawmill. So I can take smaller logs and make, beautiful stuff with. This is another piece of maple. It was ambrosia maple. And you see that's more traditional white, but you see the figuring down on the bottom there. It's just beautiful, that curling. And you just don't know. Even the backside, you can just turn it on the back and just stick it on the wall.
Yeah, you can hang it on the back, stick it on the wall. Most people, when you see these charcuterie boards that are glue ups, those people that move those, they'll glue like 100 at a time,
right?
And they all kind of look alike, but these are one of one.
They're one of one. You're right. All right, so we were talking about the flaming box elder. We need to go ahead and throw this one out there.
Yeah, that's just
that was just offcut pieces.
Yeah.
This was I told you that we had a big log I brought back about 4 foot in diameter, and I have a friend that has an Alaskan sawmill set up. So basically, it's a chainsaw. And 5 foot blade, that's 5 foot blade, 60 inches. That's a steel 880, the biggest steel makes. And so I'm going to give you one of those slabs, but it was just all just gnarly and had all the burls on. But this was just a piece that felt, just a junk piece.
And yet somebody could hang that on the wall.
Yes, beautiful.
I mean, that's just gorgeous. It's just gorgeous.
One of a kind. You can see how it flames. Why it gets that flaming. It looks like flames shooting out of it. But that one we did Saturday has this beat hands down.
That one's Saturday. That's the
solid.
prettiest wood I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it's just solid red. So that's beautiful. Let's see, change of pace. These have been very popular. This is some Spalting the hackberry. I don't think we got to it yet. The hackberry. And all that is just the earliest form of wood rot. And so we make wine stoppers and bourbon stoppers, and people just love these.
Yeah, when you talk about the difference in burl and spalting.
Mm-hmm. Two separate things.
Yeah, explain what spalting is.
So spalting is the earliest form of wood rot. It really doesn't do anything to the stability of the wood, but if you don't do something before long after that, you're going to have some issues. Whenever you see a mushroom growing on a log, spalting is occurring. So that's a telltale sign.
You know what? That's good to know, because I've always thought you don't ever know it's got spalting until you cut into it.
If you see a mushroom growing on it, she's going. So you'll have some without mushrooms, but if you see a mushroom, it's spalting is occurring.
Yeah, that big spalted maple we did not have any mushrooms on it, but it fell, and it was a big tree, and it fell. And so when I saw it, I took a chainsaw and I cut a little piece off, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is spalted all inside." And so that's it's real pretty when you get the spalting. And then the burl, burl is just totally different with just it's protecting itself, and and it's just getting all that unique figuring because the way it's growing, it's outside its normal growing pattern, and it's just creates all. And while we're talking about that, we'll skip here, and this is a piece. So when we came and we did that cherry burl, so this is just a little piece of it. You gave me that one that looks like the tree. Yeah,
I call it my life tree. Everybody just loves that. That burl.
And this is from that original burl that Austin, Adam, and I got.
See how it's just kind of.
Yeah, we're going to get a close-up of that.
It's just beautiful. Even, the back, just, somebody said, you don't put epoxy. They said, no, I'm just going to leave it like it is. And
that's just natural. And you've got it treated. You treat you treat the...
I brought you another can, so you didn't have to take that one from me like you did last time. I came with you for that was your gift for today. It was your can of board conditioner.
This is board conditioner, Silverhill Mill board conditioner, and this is food safe.
Food grade mineral oil and beeswax. And every time I sell a board, everybody says, what should I put on it? Well, if you don't have something to complement your board, then you're just missing the train. So,
how much you sell this for?
$6.
There
for you is free.
Oh, thank you. So, $6. That's just awesome.
But that's been great. This is so we started. We do so much of domestic wood. We wanted to kind of tap a little bit into the import side of things. One of the prettiest woods out there is imported. This is olive from the Mediterranean. So you have to go to a wood store, and like Bryan goes to a place that sells wood. I said, well, yeah, sometimes
occasionally. But now you need a better story for that. Like that was from
Greece.
The olive tree. No, it was from the olive tree that hung over the manger in Bethlehem.
I don't know if I could get by with that one. I do have stories on all these, but this one, I just don't have the story for this one. But I do have some cool stories. So we have that. And then everybody's favorite, I have probably more black walnut than any person in the state of Alabama has. I have black walnut logs everywhere. Wow. I'm always going to get them, a trailer load every... I met a gentleman at the Foley Farmers Market back early spring. We were talking, and he said, I live up in Athens, Alabama, and I have a farm up that way, and I just cut a bunch of black walnuts down, and, my eyes kind of, okay. And I said, well, if you can't get to all of them, because he was complaining that, we had a lot going on. And he said, you just call me and you come get all you want. I said, oh. So about 2 weeks later, I got his number and I called him. I said, were you serious? And he said, yeah. So I can't come this weekend. I got to go to my property and get some red cedar. Oh, you got red cedar. So what we've been doing is I take him red cedar milled out, and he gives me black walnut logs.
Wow.
So, but yeah, everybody just loves black walnut logs.
Yeah, that's
the wood
just
is
gorgeous.
just the figure in this. We have big boards. We got 3 times bigger than this. We have charcuterie boards of black walnut. So
It's because you're not just moving the charcuterie boards and the wine stoppers. I mean, there are builders that are buying special,
Yeah.
like to make a wall of special wood.
when I got my kiln, that really opened our business model tremendously. It builders started purchasing from us, woodworkers started purchasing. So I go at it several different. I'm making to the final product, and I'm also selling wholesale, and we also sell boards in some of the stores here locally.
And you're on Facebook, right?
Yes.
What is the Facebook?
Silverhill Mill.
Silverhill Mill.
Simple as that. Yeah,
All
we
right.
keep it simple. So we've come a long ways. Let's see. Here's some. Let's move a couple of these out of the way.
Okay.
You may not be able to see my face much longer. We've gotten we even started doing utensils. Everybody's talking about plastic being bad for you. These have just taken off. Osage orange.
I love that Osage orange. Look at the color.
And we talked about it last time, and we have it up on our property. I put this through the planer yesterday so you could see how fluorescent yellow, that's its natural, there's no stain on there. That's the natural color. But
Yeah, that's not even treated.
and the story you said that back in the days where the steamboats used the stumps of Osage for anchors.
Yeah.
Someone brought me a piece of wood 6 months ago, just a little bitty piece. They said, "Hey, my friend wants to know what this is. He puts it in the water, it sinks." I said, I bet I know, but let's just kind of nick the end of it and see. It was Osage
There you
orange.
go. It's some of the most dense wood.
Yeah.
And it's so dense that it sinks. And they would. Those riverboat captains, the barge guys, would use stumps of Osage orange
Crazy.
as anchors.
And this, you'll laugh at me. We've gotten to the process now. I guess we're almost 100%, usage of our product or our starting product. So this is red cedar shavings from my planer, because I plane a lot of cedar, and I sell those. All the older homes had red cedar closets,
Right.
and I sell that for ladies putting their garment drawers or putting their closet. And sometimes I just give them away. But
Now tell us why people would have red cedar closets.
so back in the days, most of your clothes or your very good clothes were made out of wool or had some part of wool in them, and the moss it could destroy
'em, yeah.
wool clothes. So the cedar keeps the moss away or insects.
And actually it keeps all bugs away. Yeah. And so you don't really hear of anybody storing stuff in a cedar chest
Yeah.
anymore. But when I was growing up, you'd hear about a cedar chest. But these bags of shavings do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Man, that smells
We have a
unbelievable.
cedar chefferobe and a cedar chest at our house. I think my wife's wedding dress is still in the cedar chefferobe.
Wow.
So
That is so cool.
let's get.
Oh, look at this.
Yes, that is the biggest hit. I came across a lot of cypress, so I started making some. For us in the South, we know what those are. I call them a Cajun paddle, crawfish, stern stick, or whatever, and I make them long, short. I had a lady buy one a few months ago using it, a shorter one to use stirring her horse feed with. But it's just a piece of cypress, and we've used a couple. We had a crawfish boil, and we like it. So it's been a big hit. I need to make more. I probably sold 50 of them this year. And
And how much is this?
I don't know, what's it, about $50?
It's
$45?
$50.
Yeah.
This is just $50.
Yeah. Well, I try to. I don't get too, and a lot of people say, you should sell it more. I say, I don't want to be too proud and have a bunch of inventory. I'd rather sell it because, I have a very low I have a high margin because I have a very low cost, a factor in it because, there is cost going to get logs. You were talking about, I spend a lot of time going to get logs.
Right.
I've got sources now throughout the Southeast. And it's taken me a few years, but yeah, I'm leaving out this weekend to come back with a 32-inch black cherry log. 32-inch cherry log. That's monster. A white oak, and maybe have some more flaming box elder. And
That's my favorite.
yeah, I know.
You know, so this $50. This is sold. I want to buy this. This will be a birthday or Christmas present for Adam. Adam loves crawfish, and they do 100 pounds at a time. He and his buddies.
He needs a big stick.
And so he needs this, and he doesn't watch this show, so he won't know that he's getting it as a gift. You know, when you're getting some of this stuff, this old growth, like one of the things, and we'll show a picture of this because we haven't got any of this today, but one of the things you showed me the other day was this sinker pine, curly pine, that had been underwater for 75 years.
Yeah,
and
crazy. And
was like, because the underwater is 75 and you count the rings, this is 200 years old. And so, but this sinker pine, how rare is that curly pattern?
All right, so we had the sinker pine, and I noticed several of the logs had a lot of undulation, just knobs, and it just didn't look
pine
like.
is straight.
Yeah, it's
Pine's
just flat.
grain is
once
flat,
you get the bark,
straight.
when you get the bark off, it's just also the skin is just smooth.
Yeah, pine is what you see at 2x4 in
Yes.
Home Depot. There's nothing more normal than a pine.
So this, I tell everybody my two favorite times of the whole process, from going to get a log to showing you what I've done, is when I open up the log, and then after we've done all the sanding is when we put that final oil coating on it, that food grade mineral oil on it. Those are my two. So when I opened up that first pine log, it happened to be the one that had all that undulation on it. It is what's called a curly pine, and it only occurs in old growth longleaf. We have a lot of trees around here, a lot of pine trees. People think none of this around here is still old growth. Old growth means it's from
It's virgin.
1800s, 1700s. I mean, it was, and pretty much almost all old growth has been cut out, throughout the Southeast. And what are they doing is, they're finding it just basically lost logs in river systems. And this came, from the bottom of a local river where there was some work being done, and I guess being in my business, people call me all the time. I got all kinds of crazy stuff in my house, but it is just beautiful. I sent the picture to a lot of my woodworkers. I said, guess what this is? And everyone kept saying hardwood. I don't know what kind of hardwood. I said, no, it's pine, because the design of the grain pattern is just totally, and they say it's very, I wouldn't say rare, but you can barely find it.
But it's 1 in 1,000?
About out of every 1,000 trees is a curly pine out of old growth, not one of 1,000 pines that are standing here, because there's none existent anymore.
Just 1 of 1,000 of old growth?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
And I've got a few logs of it.
That is unbelievable. And then there is the tulip tree.
Yeah.
The tulip tree, it's a poplar.
Yes.
And I had never heard of one until we started hunting at this one place, and we're seeing this straight up big tree, and we're like, are there flowers up there? It was turkey season, so we didn't have binoculars. And I said, I'm coming back this afternoon with my good camera to zoom in and see, because that looks like flowers up there. And it was, they look like tulips. And then I was reading a biography of Daniel Boone, and it talked about the tulip trees that they would cut down and use for floors inside the house because they had such colors. And I'm like, colors? What colors? Well, look at this.
Yeah. You milled on one Saturday.
Yeah, that purple and green and gold, it's stunning.
Most of them will have that green, yellow tone, but then you'll get what's called a rainbow poplar. They call it the rainbow because it looks just like a rainbow and I knew that one because the end of the log was just solid purple.
Really?
Yes. Like that ambrosia maple. When I go look at logs now, I cut the ends of the logs, and I can tell that will be an ambrosia maple based on the design on the end of the log from that staining pattern that goes through the log. So I've kind of gotten a little better into the eye for what I'm looking for.
Identifying it early.
Yeah, because I've only done 4 rainbow poplar logs, and it seems like the common denominator are they grow. The ones that are rainbow are growing close to a water source. So my thinking is they're pulling up the minerals out of the water table and what's doing all that staining on those trees. And that's why you're getting all that vibrant, bright colors showing.
Yeah, I mean, some of this stuff, like the tulip trees, tulip, rainbow, poplar, the curly sinker pine, the box elder with flame. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, some of those boards are so beautiful that I think you just kind of cut a board and hang a board up in your living room. I mean,
yeah.
It is just.
We just don't find it.
Yeah,
it's hard to find.
And a part of that is the way we grow trees now. The way we grow trees now, and we'll get you a close up of this, but that's pine.
Growing 24 inches a year.
Yeah, and you see the rings in it as to how far apart those are. That's 1 year's growth. That's 1 year. But it also makes the wood not as strong. It's not as dense.
Right.
And then, but 200 years ago, this was the pine that people were using. And if you see how tightly packed those rings are, that grew a year. That's just a year.
Yeah, you had to put your glasses on to see that one.
Yeah.
That was tight.
I mean, that is, and so that's the kind of wood nobody's selling anymore.
And that sinker pine, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 50 years just in just such a small area. And then the log is this big. So if you're 50 and the rings got even tighter farther out, you're looking at a 200-year-old tree.
Yeah. Yeah. And the value of this is just through the roof because nobody is planting these anymore.
Right.
And nobody's growing them to do this. They're growing them to do that. There's what's the saying that you plant pines for yourself, plant walnut trees for your children, and plant white pine for your grandchildren because it'll be 100 years before anybody can harvest it.
Yeah.
But nobody plants for their grandchildren anymore.
I don't think anybody knows what white pine is anymore.
Right. Yeah, just crazy. But how are you moving this stuff? How can we, I'm claiming this. There's my $50.
I just enjoy, you asked that question earlier. I just enjoy just talking, trees, wood, when we share so many of the same common, things that we love, we talked about, we're to a point now we want to try to go online.
Okay, so you're not even online, and your business is growing 10 times.
Yeah, well, that year I was with you, we sold 100 boards. The next year, 300. The year after, 800. This year, we're going to be over 1,000. And that's all face-to-face sales. And so our problem, we want to go online, but I'm almost have to have 2 sets of inventory. As we said, everything is one of a kind. So if I go to a craft show this weekend and I sell 40 boards, my inventory that I got online is going to be just out of kilter.
Right.
Because there are no 2 of my boards identical. When you buy it, that's the one and only that you're buying. And I can make something similar. So that's my issue there is I'm almost have to have 2 sets of inventory.
Have the inventory to take to these craft shows and these art festivals.
Right.
And then an inventory online. Where somebody buys that.
And the logistics and, so we've got a lot of changes coming up. We'll be announcing here at the end of the year where we're stepping up and we'll have more time, but, we're kind of keeping it too close to the vest for right now, but
Facebook, Silverhill Mill.
Silverhill Mill.
That's
yes,
how
sir.
people can contact you and DM you. And
Yes. Yeah.
do you direct message on Facebook?
That's it.
Yeah, okay.
You're good.
Okay. I
And my email, silverhillmill@gmail.com.
silverhillmill@gmail.com.
Yeah.
We will put these on the show notes. Buddy,
Yeah, but
thank
we
you for
love it.
being here.
Well, thanks for having me. I enjoy. Like I said, we could probably sit here and talk all afternoon.
Well,
we haven't touched anything.
before. I know. Is there anything else over there? Anything else you need to show?
We did. We started making bread bow knives. So be careful, sharp blade there. I take my scrap wood. I don't. I hardly let anything go to waste. So any offcuts, I'll.
So that's a bread knife.
Yeah. So there's a very sharp blade, and sourdough bread is big right now. So everybody's at least trying to make their sourdough bread. But yeah, we do that. And these spoons, these are American made. These are not made in China and resold.
Yeah,
you can tell that it's not, nothing that we have is 100% perfect. I mean, there's perfection, but people want to see the little different. I used to make I used to do handles. I used to have template for my handles.
Right.
And I wanted it to be perfect. And finally, probably about the last 2 years, I just freehand everything. Now, it may have been a knot over here, or I have to shift it this way. And that's what people keep telling me is, we like that. We don't want the machine look.
Right.
We want, or the CNC look. We want it to be,
Yeah,
organic.
if I wanted to buy a glued up one, I could go down to...
Yeah. So, and then we got one other thing here. And so we try to do serving instead of charcuterie boards. We use a serving board. A little different word, but this is another one of those olive. Beautiful, beautiful wood. There's a little bit of cedar on there, but I just love olive wood, and it's so dense, it's so heavy. It's very crazy, but it's just beautiful, the grain pattern and that stuff.
Good grief. Thank you.
But that's about everything.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thanks for having me.
I love talking to you.
It's we'll get some more of that flaming box elder, and if I come across anything else, I always send you pictures.
Yeah, man.
And try to get down here again.
I'll get my $50 bill out when we get through.
We'll work it. We'll give you the family discount.
Thank you for being here, Bryan.
Thank you.
Tell Rhee, hey,
Will do.
I love being out at your place and watching what you do and watching how involved Rhee is with everything. And I've never come to your place that she hadn't brought me something to eat from inside the
she
house.
was feeding you dates this last time?
Feed me dates off your trees.
Juju dates?
And one night she brought me a mug full of gumbo. And
She has become my horticulturist here lately. She's been propagating all our plant trees.
listen, I need to have her on one
Well, you
time.
didn't tell everybody what you brought me Saturday.
Yeah, I brought Bryan a toothache tree. And that is a very rare tree. In fact, most people have never even heard of it. I had not heard of it, but there's a friend that has a piece of property that is miles, and so the caretaker on that property, when I got there one day, the caretaker told me that a timber cruiser had come back from the Fletcher Gordon parcel, which is like 17 miles away from the main house, and said, found a toothache tree. And he said, I ain't never heard of toothache tree, have you? And I said, I have not. He said, the Indians used to use it for medicine, evidently, and for toothaches.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, what is it? So we started going into it, and it has anesthetic properties. And so this toothache tree, the Indians identified this, and when I went online to look at it, first of all, on YouTube, there was only one thing. I mean, come on, one thing on YouTube about a toothache tree? And a guy had taken it and he took some bark and kind of gnarled it up and then put it up here, and he waited and he said, okay, I'm getting numb here. And about 5 minutes, he said, I'm numb from my eye to the chin. And so I said, I got to get one of these. I got to get one. And I started going online to nurseries. I probably checked 100 nurseries that had the toothache tree listed and out of stock.
Really?
Which means they never had it probably. But then I found one in Central Florida that had toothache trees, and it was a stick. And I'm like, okay. And it was a stick that cost $50. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do this. And so I bought three of them. And so for 3 or 4 years now, I have been playing with my toothache trees, but I always had my eye on one of them that I was going to give to Bryan and Rhee. And so now they're probably, 8 or 10 feet tall?
It's a tree now.
Yeah, it's 8 or 10 feet tall. And I brought it to you the other day in the pot, so you'd put it
And we're all ripping off leaves, chewing it,
I know,
and see whose foul goes numb first.
When the settlers came and the Indians showed them that, they started using it for more than just toothaches because they would, like if somebody would get cut and have to get sewn up, they would take those leaves or take that bark and chew it up or mince it up with a knife or whatever, and then pack it in that wound and let it sit for 10 minutes, then wash it out, flush it out with whiskey or whatever they flushed it out with, and then they sew it up, and the guy getting sewed up couldn't even feel it.
Oh, okay. So, that makes sense.
So it's and I actually took just to play with it and see, I took some bark, and don't tell Polly this, but I put it in the blender, in her blender, and I blended it up, just shredded the bark up, and then I took that bark and I put it in a mason jar, just in it like 3/4 filled a mason jar. Then I got some vodka, and I covered it all in vodka.
Okay.
Because that's what the thing said. I was reading about how to make tinctures.
Okay.
And, of course, nobody had said make a tincture out of toothache tree because nobody knows what it is.
Yeah.
But I poured that vodka and covered it. Then I put it in a dark closet for a month. Then after that, I took it and I drained it in some cheesecloth and got all the wood out and all like that, where it's just brown liquid. But man, I put it in little bitty bottles, and I've had some friends like that were at the house. Somebody had like a cold sore or something like that, and I said, "Here, I give them a little bottle and take a Q-tip, dip it in there, put it on that cold sore, boom, just like that. Don't feel nothing." I mean, so I said, now you have a toothache tree.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, buddy. Thank you for being here, Bryan.
Thank you.
All right, and we'll do it. We'll do it again. I want to get Rhee on to talk about how she's because I was fascinated by that. Don't start talking about it yet.
She's doing a great job with it.
Yeah, but you guys are moving from your property to another a larger piece of property that you have, but you have 100-year-old roses, and you have blueberry trees and pear trees.
She's the green thumb in the family, not me.
And so she is grafting all this stuff and propagating this stuff for your move.
Yeah.
And I was fascinated at how she was doing it. So
very good.
Anyway, so tell her I want her on the show.
We'll do that.
All right, buddy. Thank you now. I'm Andy Andrews, the professional noticer, harnessing common sense and wisdom to plow through challenges all the way to an answer for you. And I think that'll do it for this week. Get us out of here, Matthew. So, ladies and gentlemen, and to the boys and girls who aspire to become ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of another episode of The Professional Noticer. In a world where common sense has become a superpower, I'm harnessing that tiny bit of mental energy I have for you, seeking wisdom, making observations, and endeavoring to answer tough questions in a way that will empower your family and your business. I'm Andy Andrews. Until next week, goodbye. This episode of The Professional Noticer was produced by Matt Limpert. The Noticer theme written and performed by Sugarcane Jane. Dental implants for the cast and crew provided by Twinkle and Smoke of Beverly Hills. Additional financial consideration provided by Saps Up, America's best morning coffee blended with wood. Tired of waking up feeling like driftwood? Well, perk up with Sap's Up, the only coffee brewed from real tree sap. It's bold, earthy, and guaranteed to be your number one choice every morning. Each cup is slow dripped through ethically sourced pine cones, kissed by the morning dew and stirred with a stick I found in Bryan's yard. Side effects may include whittling at the breakfast table, spontaneous flannel purchases, and unexpected beaver sightings. So just remember, Sap's Up. Rise and shine with a hot, steaming cup of morning wood.